Hello, everyone. You are listening to the Let's Live with Alexandria Fraser podcast, a podcast where we talk all things travel, fashion, beauty, sports, and all around different lifestyles. And I also conduct interviews like today. And I'm super excited for this episode because my guest, Carola, however you want to say it, she is from Spain. And today we are talking about all things healthy habits, healthy living, and kind of how to change, yourself when you're in a little bit of a rut. So do you want to introduce yourself and we can get started?
Yes. Thank you so much for inviting me. I am very excited to be here. My name is Carola in Spanish. And at the moment I am in Spain, but I live literally everywhere because I'm traveling every 3 months, just like living life. And I have a podcast, a self-development podcast, where I empower women to reconnect with their self-worth and to connect with the power we all have within us, but we sometimes forget we do. So I'm very excited to be talking about these topics today with you, Alexandria. Thank you for this.
Oh my gosh, of course. And I love that what you said, like taking back your power, because I feel like it's so hard sometimes, especially when you're at, early 20s. And I struggle with this a lot, and I was actually talking to my friends yesterday about it, how it's like I'm starting to be more of like holding my own and like, having my own back and standing up for my truth. And so it's definitely difficult, but I'm super excited to talk about all this with you today.
Yeah, me too.
So do you want to let's talk about putting yourself first and how it changes when you decide to put yourself first and cut out like toxic people and toxic things in your life.
Yeah. So since I started putting myself first, I've realized how every single aspect of my life has changed. Like, we tend to relate it to, I put myself first, like, I'm improving my relationship with myself. But you're not only doing that, because when you improve your relationship with yourself, you improve your relationship with others, your relationship with work, like your day-to-day, your social life, your relationship with money, even. Like, literally every single aspect of my life completely shifted when I started putting myself and what makes me happy first. So yeah, literally like life-changing. And I think it's it's complicated to do, because when you don't do it, you tend to blame what goes on in your life, like put the blame on external things, right? And you don't think that, maybe it is because I'm not like prioritizing what I should in my life, like within myself. But once you understand it and you start doing these little shifts, like your whole reality changes.
For sure. And I also think putting yourself first, or I guess not putting yourself first, can look like so many different things that people do not realize. For instance, like overbooking yourself or saying yes to every single thing that somebody wants of you, or if someone's asking you to do a favor and it's not convenient for you at that time. And it doesn't mean every single time, because it's a give and a take. But I do think there has to be a point where you're like, I'm overbooked right now. I need time for myself. Like, I'll get to it when I get to it. Or things like that of like just standing up for yourself and not feeling guilty or bad for taking that time to be alone and support yourself and take that downtime for yourself. Because I found over the last couple months I've been overbooking, and like I've been needing alone time just to kind of reconnect with who I am and sort of like recharge myself. And so like last night I watched a movie by myself and I got dinner by myself, and it felt really nice to just recharge that. But I feel like in the past I would have never done that if somebody said, hey, could we do this tonight? And I was like, yeah, absolutely, even though maybe I would have been up for it. And yeah, it's been so much healthier now that I have like sat here and been like, okay, this is what I need to do in order to sort of put myself first.
Yeah, and it looks different for everyone, because for some people it can be exercising, for some people it can be meditating, for some people it just can be what you said of like getting dinner by myself and watching a movie. That still is like taking care of yourself. And I think that we should actually put it in our schedule the same way we put like work or like meetings or doing things for others. You should literally put in your schedule like an hour for me a day of doing what I know that makes me feel good. And that for me, for example, I love my mornings. I love my slow mornings. So whatever I have to do, like if I start working at 9, I will wake up at 7 just to have like that hour of that. Maybe one day I feel like journaling, one day I feel like meditating, one day it's just like I feel like having breakfast and just like chilling for a bit, reading a book. Like it doesn't have to be like a checklist of, oh, I meditated, I read, I did this, I did that. It's just like whatever it feels like for me, like whatever I know is gonna make me feel good to start my day right. But separating that time, and I love to do it in the mornings because it's like I'm pouring in my own cup before I'm pouring on anyone else's cup, like to start the day.
I absolutely love that. I absolutely love that. Today, actually, we were talking about this before we jumped on and recorded. I was watching the game this morning, and I'm so used to getting up, having 30 minutes to get ready, go to class in the morning. This is like the first morning I woke up, I made myself a good coffee, sat down, watched the World Cup, and just, I had my notebooks out. I was like reviewing our notes for today, and I was just sitting there and I was like, this is the nicest thing ever. So I'm definitely going to implement that more, because you're so right. Like, how can you expect to take care of other people when you can't even take care of yourself in that moment? If you're irritable and you're tired and just like over it, how can you expect to be a good influence on others when you're not even that for yourself at the moment?
The mornings is the best moment for me to do it because it's like first thing in your day, like putting myself first, doing me before like I do anything else in the day.
Absolutely, I love that. And giving yourself a moment to sort of think about the day, digest what happened yesterday, sort of figure out everything. Maybe if you wake up a little bit anxious, figuring that out. Maybe if you wake up a little bit overtired, figuring that out. If you wake up super happy, being like, oh my gosh, why is this happening? Like, this is great. Things like that I think are really healthy to digest before you just jump straight into your day. And even like, especially like in college too. I mean, when you were in university, I know you probably remember all of this stuff. Like, it's so much go, 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 overbooking. You have 2 minutes to run home, get a bite to eat, run back to class, got to do homework, sports, everything like that. And I think it's super healthy.
Like for me at university, social life was the biggest thing because I couldn't miss the plan. Like I am a super social person and I wanted to be in everything all the time. So when you're like that, what you cut out of your day is usually like, oh, the time to exercise or the time to like sit by yourself and like actually check in and how I'm feeling, how I'm doing, what do I really want to do? Because it's like, oh, I have to go to class, I have to study. And then there's like this social plan that I can't miss. So like the time for you is like out. But then like my life, when I was doing those things, it wasn't going as great. Like I was just accumulating a bunch of like unprocessed emotions inside of me that then it gets to a moment when it just explodes and suddenly it comes out like in some crazy way that you're like, fuck, like how did this happen? And it's because you haven't been like checking in with yourself like little by little. Like it doesn't have to be an everyday thing, but just like maybe a weekly check-in of like how am I feeling lately? Like what am I doing that is making me feel like worse? Maybe I should like change this for that, get more things I enjoy in my day, or just like see what it is that actually makes you happy and not like please everyone or like be in every, because my friends also, like I had a lot of pressure of my friends of like, you have to be there, like we're all gonna be there, are you really not gonna be there? And maybe you don't feel like it, but like you feel in the obligation of doing it, right?
Yeah, oh, for sure. And like the FOMO, I know I definitely struggle with that. Or like all my friends will be like, I'm at the library right now, like studying. But like when we go to the library, like it's like 90% talking, 10% studying. So it's like a little bit difficult. So some days I'm like, okay, maybe I shouldn't go to the library. And like that is completely fine. And like if your friends get mad at you and stuff, like just know that's not fair. And like you need to take that time for yourself. And I think there's a lot of pressure from society of like, I know we're going to talk a little bit more, I like wrote it down, what you should like, what you shouldn't like, and what you're, what you should do, what you shouldn't do. And it's sort of like you should march to the beat of your own drum because you're yourself. You're not put on this earth to make other people's lives more convenient. You're not put on this earth to make other people proud. You're supposed to make yourself proud. And of course, with that being said, I'm not saying go out and do all these crazy things because you want to. Of course, you have to, have a balance. However, maybe if it's like, for me, I was stuck into, like back in high school, I was doing a sport that I just was not liking. I hated it. And I just did it because I felt pressure from other people. And they didn't mean to put pressure. It's just like the societal pressure. And like when I did quit, everyone was like, oh, we're so proud of you, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh, I thought it was going to get a different reaction. I was like, this is nice. But yeah, so I think that pressure really, you just have to overcome that fear of doing, like quitting, and just do it and just say, I'm gonna do this because it serves me more, or I'm gonna try this because it serves me more. Whether it's stepping away from something or putting something into your life, it's completely different.
And you realize that when you do those things for you, when you end up being in a better place, so then it's going to make a positive impact in the people like that surround you. Because maybe you don't want to do it at first because you're like, oh, but like they expect this from me because it's what I should do. But when you actually do what you want to do, even if at the beginning they like don't support you on it, once they see that you are better with that, like it's gonna impact them too. It's like a domino effect. Like it's just
Yeah. If you're happy, you're gonna push other people happiness. You're not just gonna sit there and be like mad about the whole world. But if you're truly, disturbed and not happy and just not feeling yourself and not in the situation and environment that you're in, you're not feeling it, how do you expect to grow positively? How do you expect to be kind to others when you're not even happy about yourself? So I think that's definitely a domino effect, like you said.
Yeah, and that also takes us to the other thing, the other topic that you wanted to talk about, which is it was like cutting people out of your life, right? Like the people that don't serve you, and so
Yeah.
and I realized like this happened to me when I started to actually put myself first and say no to the things that weren't serving me, that I was doing for others and not for myself. I, let's say, it's like lost a lot of friends, but it's not that I really lost them because, I mean, it's like a good loss. And I don't know, because after that, it's a bit scary at the beginning because you're like, oh, but they've been my friends forever and they're part of my life. Like, I'm going to disappoint them and they're not going to want to be in my life. But after that, their space, like of not being in your life, is filled in by other people that actually do like understand you and that want the best for you and want you to be happy and want you to be in that path. Like if you do these changes for yourself and the people that is always in your life don't support it and just don't want to be it, it's like it's okay because other people are gonna come. Like people come to your life to teach you a lesson. I've realized that so much. Like I'm so grateful for everyone that's been on my life, even if they like I didn't have good experiences with them, because they were put in my life to teach me something. Like they were there for a reason. And after I learned that lesson and I grew like a lot as a person after learning those lessons, they left. And that is totally okay because we're constantly like growing and evolving, right? And the people that surround us, like it's more of the same. Like they're gonna be matching whatever you are in that moment. So if you keep improving and evolving, you're gonna attract them people that are in that same level of like awareness and consciousness and like that also want to grow and improve. And the people that wanted to keep you in that, like for me it was like the going out partying every weekend and being hangover and like not really having aspirations in life and like just thinking about parties and talking about boys. Like that was the kind of people that I had to cut out of my life because they weren't helping me grow.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I completely agree with what you said. And like for a while I like felt so much pressure to kind of be like those type of people. And like I never really went down that path. However, it's like you said, like constantly talking about boys and finding people just to kind of fill that void for you. And I think I'm like very thankful that I had always like support along the way with like how people like acted with me, so that way I never really fell into it. But like of course in high school, like that's like the norm right now, right? And like for those who are listening, I'm like doing quotes like around like the norm because nothing's really like normal. It's like your own life should be like whatever, like everyone has their own different story. And that's I think the best to cut yourself out because you do have aspirations. I do as well. I don't want to just settle for something in a life that is unfulfilled and the goals and dreams that I have. I want to do above and beyond and every day keep getting closer and closer to my goal. And it does take time. It does take a lot of effort. And we were talking about this earlier, like even with podcasting, it is so hard to, push out your message and find new people to come on. And it's a lot of work that people don't see how much it goes into it. However, it's something that makes me so happy. And every time I have a guest, every time I do it, it just brings me so much joy. So it works out like that.
You have to surround yourself with people that are gonna help you get there. People like I I now try to surround myself with people that are where I want to be in some aspect. That's also like a reason why I got a coach 6 months ago, because I want a lot of the things that she has in her life. So I want to be hearing like what she does, what she thinks, how she works on herself, how she got there, learn from her. And I don't want to be in those conversations that I was so much in about like gossiping. Oh, did you see like what this girl did last weekend? Oh, and oh, this girl, this other one gained weight, or like just conversations that are like, am I learning something from this? Am I growing in some type of way? It's like, it doesn't serve me at all. Like, why am I wasting my time on this?
For sure. Why? Like, it doesn't help, calling other people names and, like you said, gossiping is so, to me, it's so bizarre, because when people talk about me and I find out, it hurts me so much that they would take time out of their day to talk about me. So why am I doing it to other people? Why would I tear someone else down, especially when I don't know who they are, what they're going through, and like, why not say positive things? Like, why can't people just be like, oh my gosh, I loved her outfit today, or oh my gosh, you should have seen like her new podcast episode, instead of saying, oh my gosh, like she started a podcast, that's so weird. I'm just using that as an example because it tears people down. And not only that, it tears yourself down. Every time you say something about somebody else that's not positive, it actually does you a disservice, because now you're spending time and energy on something that is not serving you, clearly, if you're talking bad about it. So why even talk about it? I don't understand it.
But do you know what I realized? Like, it used to affect me a lot. Like, I used to care a lot about what other people thought about what I did or said about me. But once I understood this, I literally couldn't care less. And it's because whatever someone is saying about you is saying more about them than about you.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah, they're just like, they see in you something, like, it's usually out of like, jealousy, right? And it says a lot about them. Like, when you hear about someone criticizing another person, you just have to like observe. I just observe them, and I'm like, where is this coming from? Like, who hurt you? Like, what did you go through to have to like criticize? Because they do it to feel better themselves, because they're not in a good place with themselves, so they need to bring others down to feel a bit better. But it doesn't, it's what you said, it literally does a disservice. Like, instead, if I started to remove myself from those conversations, like, when I was in a conversation like that, I was just like, not commenting on it. And people ask you, like, but, oh, why aren't you talking? Like, what do you think about her? Like, and I'm like, no, I just have nothing to say. Like, I really don't want to participate in this. It's just...
It's not serving you. And why would you talk about, like, it, like you said, it's a reflection of the person that's talking bad. And why would you, if you're trying to grow and change who you are in the positive way, why try to bring yourself down and talk about people? It just doesn't make sense to me. I completely agree with you there. And I think I've actually talked about this. I don't know what podcast episode it was on, but it's so immature to talk about people negatively, because who cares what they do? Let them live their life. You live your life, focus on yourself, and be so invested in making yourself the best version of yourself that you don't even care what people do or think or say. And I've definitely gotten so much better over the last year. Like you said, like, just, oh, someone said this about you. Okay, cool. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, whatever. So I think that's definitely...
I think it's like, it's just great. It's great that they still have to talk about other people, like, whatever. They'll realize at some point. Because I think that we're all in our own journeys, right? And it gets to a point, like, there's people that never learn this, but when you understand it, like, you're like, okay, whatever, it's not going to change anything. Like, I literally don't dedicate a second of my energy to it, because, like, I don't want to invest my energy in worrying about what others are saying about me. If they want to invest their energy in talking about me, okay, that's fine, that's your life, like, and whatever you think about me is, like, your problem, not mine. Like, I really don't care.
Yeah. Absolutely. I completely agree. And it kind of like shifts us to like your inner dialogue sort of, and like how you talk to yourself kind of matters. And I want to talk about that, because when you are sitting here and you're constantly saying things like, oh, these people are talking about me, oh, these people are saying this about me, and like you're letting that disrupt like what's up here and like what's in your heart and sort of who you are as a person, that's like where you need to like make that change, where you don't let that things bother you, and the only person that you should care about is your reflection on yourself. talk positively to yourself. If you wake up every morning and say today's going to be awful, today will be awful. If you wake up every morning and say today's going to be great, it will be great. You have to have that healthy, like, positive talk. Of course, you need to be a little bit, I don't know the word, but you need to have that sort of balance where it's like, I can be better at this, but also I'm doing great at this, sort of like that.
Yeah. I like strongly believe that we are the creators of our reality, and whatever you talk into existence it's the reality you are creating for yourself. So the example you put, it's perfect, because there's a lot of people that are always like, oh, but I have such bad luck, like this always happens to me. If you keep saying that, you're gonna keep having bad luck, because it's the reality you are creating for yourself.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and the way you talk to yourself, like, this goes back to also putting yourself first. When you start putting yourself first, you start seeing how others treat you differently. And the way you talk to yourself is going to influence how others talk to you. Because you're setting the standard of how you want to be treated. And if you treat yourself like shit in your own mind, and you're like, oh, I'm terrible, I look bad, you're just saying bad things about yourself, that is also like the standard that you're setting for others, like how others are going to treat you.
Yeah.
Because then if someone comes and tells you, oh, you look terrible today, you're going to be like, oh, really? I know, like, I thought about it too. If someone comes to me and tells me you look terrible today, I'm like, what? Like, what?
Yeah. You're like, huh?
No,
Okay.
I don't. I literally say, no, I don't. Like, no, because that's not the way I talk to myself.
Yeah. And I think it goes for everything. Like, even if you're studying and you're like, I can't do this. Like, no, you say, I'm smart, I can do this. Or, you know, you're feeling like, I don't know, like you try and address that you're like nervous to wear out in public, and you're like, I'm not confident enough to wear this. No, you say, I'm confident, I'm going to do it. And kind of facing that fear. And obviously it takes baby steps, but you have to keep working on it every day, you know, as much as you can, in order to get to that level, to be naturally more like inclined to know how to handle things like that, which I think is super important for your future, and super important for you as a person to be more confident and be the best version of yourself.
I read this thing about a psychologist. It was like a study, and it said that our mind is programmed for us to survive, not to thrive. So your mind is always gonna try to keep you in your like comfort zone, because your mind is just gonna like get you to survive. So whenever you're gonna try to get out of that comfort zone and do something like going for a run, for example, your mind is gonna start talking to you like, you can't do this, you're tired, you've ran enough, like, stop, your leg hurts, you're whatever. But you have to be stronger than that, and you have to train your mind to thrive, not to survive. Like, you are able to change that inner dialogue. And I do this in the gym. Like, I feel like a beast when I do this. But when I'm doing it, it's like, okay, I'm doing 10 sets of an exercise, and then I get to the 10, and like, it kind of hurts, but I'm like, I know I can do 10 more. And I do 10 more, and like, I have that little voice that's like, okay, you're tired, stop it. And I'm like, no, I know I can do 10 more.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not recommending anyone here to like kill themselves in the gym, but I do that in the shower as well. I'm taking like a nice warm shower, and then I'm like, wow, what would be really getting out of my comfort zone right now? And it is to put the shower like to the total cold, and like suddenly go to on a cold like shock shower. And my mind is like, no, don't do that. Like, you're so good here in like this warm comfort water. And when I hear that, like that little voice, I'm like, fuck, now I have to do it. And I just put the shower like super cold. And it's about training yourself to get comfortable in the uncomfort.
Yeah, stay uncomfortable. That's how you grow as a person in every sort of way. Like, even if you look at it from like, oh, working out or sport aspect, or, you know, whether you're looking at it as a school aspect. Like, obviously it's uncomfortable to study for 2 hours for a test. You know, you're going to say, oh, I've studied enough. You know, after, let's say, 30 minutes, you have to stay in that uncomfort zone in order to grow and change for the better. Because obviously, like, to an extent, of course, but like, you have to do that initial jump in order to change. Yeah. And it's hard. It's so hard.
And the thing is that your own mind can be your biggest enemy.
Yes.
That's why it's good to do these little things. Like the cold shower thing is something that everyone can do. And it's great because you're starting to train your mind to get comfortable in that discomfort.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
same with like going for a run, or maybe it's not running, maybe it's just some like going to the gym, whatever type of exercise that you feel that you don't want to do, that you're uncomfortable doing it. Once you do it, you're like, I won. Like I won on my own mind that was telling me that I couldn't do it. And it's those little things that you have to start training yourself on to just get uncomfortable. But because if you don't do it with the little things, you're not going to be able to then go and like, I don't know, launch a business or like something bigger that is very uncomfortable.
Yeah. And what would you say like the little things are, the healthy habits and all those things that you can sort of do? I know I wrote down my little list, but do you have any?
Yeah, so for me, that is meditating. I do visualization meditations. There's a lot of type of meditations, but I do visualization because I have a very clear vision of what I want in life, who I want to be and where I want to be and what I want to be doing. So I know exactly how she looks, what she's doing, like how her day to day is. Hers like that higher self version of myself. So I do these visualization meditations that there's tons in YouTube, and they just guide you through imagining that you are already living that life. And it's great because it keeps the vision of why you're doing what you're doing. Like, why am I working on what I'm working on every day? Why am I investing in myself? Why am I just doing all of these uncomfortable things? And it's because I want that life, and I want to be her so bad that when I do these meditations in the morning, because then I have a clear vision of, like, I don't forget why I'm doing this for. So
Yeah.
meditations, like, I love it. It's 10 out of 10 recommend. I know it's not for everyone. Do you meditate? Because it's not for everyone.
I have in the past a lot. I've been really busy, so I haven't like had a chance to. I do like a lot of journaling, which is nice, or even I call it like video journaling, where like I'll set my phone up and I'll take a video on Snapchat and then I'll put it in my eyes only. So like I can like look back and like be like, who was I like 3 weeks ago, sort of things like that. So I can see where I've growth, or like if I'm like having a really good day, I'll like set up my phone camera and be like, I like this made me super happy today. So like I can look back at those things when I'm having like a bad day, or when I'm not motivated, or when I'm tired or sad or something, and
Yeah.
and I can like see, oh my gosh, like I was so happy here. Like we just have to get through today, and we can make it better. So that's what I like doing, but also like writing, journaling, and like I have a few like little like I'm very like faithful and religious, so like I have my little like prayer books too that I like reading as well. So I like doing all those things. And I wrote down like trying new things is like a huge one for me, like doing random like new things that I've never tried before. I love that. And just like walking away from toxic people, like we said, and working out too. Working out always helps me feel better, even if I don't want to do it.
Yeah, exercise, movement, and
Yeah.
Also aligned with the previous thing I said, gratitude. When you say that you like these videos of like this happened, and gratitude, it gets you in such a high vibration that you see everything differently. Like if you start your day just thinking about 3 things that you're grateful for, and it's like it can be anything, like super basic things, it already gets you in this state, in a very like high energy level, that then when you are in that high vibration, you're going to attract more things that are in the same vibration. So because happy people are grateful for what they have.
Yeah.
Like you see, I was living in Mexico for the past 3 months, and people there have very little, but they are very happy. Like
Yeah.
you see most of them don't have much, and like the average income is $400 a month per person, and still like they live this life, but they're so grateful for what they have that they live happy lives.
Yeah.
So
For sure.
gratitude is just it changed everything.
It's a huge part. Yeah, it's a huge part of having a great day, because then you look at things like glass is half full or half empty. You have to look at it and have so much like peace with where you're at, even though if you can always want to change the environment and grow and get better, but you have to understand that takes time. So just like being happy with where you're at and giving yourself that time and patience is super helpful. I think super helpful.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, this has been so good. I absolutely love these kind of topics. But yeah, I think, like, did you want to say all your socials and stuff?
Yeah, sure. So my Instagram is Carola A Gomez, My podcast is Life with Carola. It is in Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube, and we also have the Instagram of the podcast. And yeah, I really enjoyed this. Thank you
so
much.
great. Of course, and all your links will be listed below. If you're watching on YouTube, it'll be in the bio. If you're on Spotify, I think their clickable links should be also listed in the bio below, or whatever podcast platform you guys are on. But yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. If you guys have been following me for a while, I really appreciate you guys coming back. And if you're brand new, don't forget to follow and rate the podcast. Also, if you want to give me feedback, DM me on Instagram. That's always very helpful. So thank you guys. And thank you so much for coming on. This has been such a fun conversation.
Thank you. I'll see you on my podcast soon.
Yes, everyone go check out her podcast. We will definitely be doing an episode together.
Yes.